When we pray for something that's not good for us, what does God do with that?
Thank you, Greg. Well, I think Greg's laid out some variables. Some of the other variables are things like this. James talks about if we pray for things with selfish motives, don't expect that prayer to be answered. There's other variables that get down to sort of what you might call the heart attitude sort of things. And we're told, don't expect that God's going to come through. If we're asking for things that are not good for us, the not good for us piece probably has something to do with the fact that there's a self-orientation or a self-destruction, or maybe it seems good, but we're not taking into consideration what that would mean for others around us in our community. And I think those are the kind of prayers that we are warned aren't helpful. Again, James tells us in other passages, the prayers of a righteous person avail much. That would, therefore, the prayers of people who have broken relationships tend not to be as effectively answered. A lot of times if I'm praying for something that isn't healthy for me, it's also not healthy for someone else. It's that self-orientation. So I think God is wise. He gives us the stewardship call, but he's careful, obviously, with the prayers we ask. And, yeah.
That's why it says in 1 John that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears our prayer. And there's that clause, according to his will. Now you find other verses that are just as unqualified and emphatic that don't mention his will, which is why you always have to you can't take any passage of the Bible and make it into a magical formula. You got to take the whole thing, and that's when you discover all these sorts of variables. But God's will isn't the only variable, but it is a variable. The purpose of prayer isn't to be a gimme, grab bag, Santa Claus, slot machine in heaven kind of a thing. The purpose is for us to be kingdom builders. And so when we pray outside of that, it's going to compromise the power of prayer. Now, the balance would be this. I really believe that if you're sincere, and if but you're just uninformed. Your heart's in the right place, but your head's kind of screwed up because maybe you got some bad theology or you've been Americanized or whatever. So you're really trying to relate to God, but you really want that Porsche or the Learjet or whatever it is that you're praying for. God knows if that's not good for you to get, he's not going to give that to you. It's not part of his will. On the other hand, I think your sincerity counts for something. He'll use that. Maybe he doesn't apply it to what you're asking for, but he'll apply it in some other way. I really want to hold fast to the power, the prayer is powerful and effective, because I know that my own motives can be screwed up, and I don't know that, and my theology can be screwed up, and I don't know that. But I'm going to trust that God knows my heart, and as I'm pursuing him, my heart gets purified. And if he can't apply a prayer in one direction, I want to believe that he applies in a different direction. I don't think we ever waste time praying. If for no other reason, when you're praying, God at the very least can use that as an opportunity to now refine your heart and make you less self-centered. And he'll be working on you. Even if the prayer can't be applied anywhere else, he's going to apply it to you and build you into more of a kingdom person.
Yeah. And I think if we take so much of what Greg has done with us in this church at large, as well as in this prayer series, is always taking us back to the heart of who God is, to God's character. That if we mess up on God's character, all of our theology, all of our how does prayer work, all that stuff will get messed up. And that God's character always looks like the beautiful heart of Jesus Christ. So when I ask that question, what would God do with a prayer of mine when I'm asking for something that isn't good or something? One answer to that question is, well, what would a loving father do for his child if his child asks for something that's not helpful? And I think, I'm certainly far from a perfect father, but I know when my 5-year-old son Justin asks me for something that isn't helpful for him, I don't just go, all right, dude, go for it. It's like, I'll teach you the hard way. I mean, on the other hand, there's times when Justin keeps persisting in something that there is sort of, a disciplinary time for him to kind of learn about that. But the parameters are always within safety. And I mean, God's heart, I think, is certainly always that of a loving father trying to grow us, his children, up to be the kind of stewards and lovers that he's called us to be.